Woo, woo, woo. Welcome everyone to IUP-TV's most award-winning show, The Big Hit, but please don't fact check me on that. We have a great show for you today featuring NFL, NBA, and some college football. Here in the NFL, we have Jake Spagnol and Hunter Mitchell talking about the Steelers, the Saints, the Rams, the Chiefs. Who's going to win? I don't know. You tell me. In the NBA, we have the Battle of the Beards. Joey Sinway, Jeff Hart, talking all things hair and all things basketball. And then we'll shoot over to Stephen Langdon Jr. and Jake Slobodnik, wrapping up their predictions for college football. So sit down, shut up, drink a beer, enjoy the show. What's up, everyone? Welcome back into The Big Hit. I'm here to talk NFL with Jake Spagnol and a new guest, Hunter Mitchell, here to talk. I know it's not going to be no Nathan Peterman debut. He's going to knock it out of the park, maybe some Nick Mullins type action, perfect passer rating, and the first time around. So let's just get to it, boys. With the Steelers' dominant victory over Carolina last Thursday night, do you think that Pittsburgh is now among the favorites for the AFC title? Jake?
I mean, they're definitely in contention, but I think it's Kansas City's to win right now. Their defense has really been stepping up, especially without having Eric Berry. They just got Justin Houston back, and Dee Ford and Nelson have really stepped it up. So as long as the Steelers can keep it up, they might have a chance. But right now, I'm rolling with Kansas City to take the title.
One other thing you have to think about is that the Steelers have already played the Chiefs. They know what they're getting into. The Chiefs haven't changed at all. Their defense has improved a little bit, but other than that, they're the same team that the Steelers played in Week 2. So for the most part, the Steelers know exactly what they're going to see, and they have a great coaching staff, so they will be ready. So I still think that the Steelers are the favorite.
Yeah, like we've seen years past, that Pittsburgh has gone into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. And I like your point again. Like the Steelers had no film on Pat Mahomes. That was second ever game played. So I mean, how could you prepare for Patrick Mahomes, what he's coming out to do? And especially with Le'Veon Bell now, this just in, Le'Veon Bell is out for the entire season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are you guys' takes on that? You think this is good for the team, bad for the team?
I mean, I think either way, I think Pittsburgh was going to be an okay team. I mean, regardless, I mean, they just saved a lot of cap space, so that gives them time to pay players like Juju in the coming years and whatever else we might need, especially keeping that offensive line is going to be good. But Le'Veon, I mean, he was good, but I think Connor's just going to – he's already proven that he's a better back, so – I'm just more curious where's Le'Veon going to end up. He's definitely not going to go to any top-tier team.
Yeah, one other thing is the Steelers' chemistry right now is as good as it has been in any of the years that I've seen. And by putting Le'Veon back in that mix, there's a very good chance that could have hurt the team. So I feel that it's good for the Steelers that he didn't come back. Even though he's a top-tier NFL running back, it wouldn't have helped them enough to warrant bringing something like that in that could have affected the team.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe had to change the playbook, put Lev Bell out wide receiver a few times, you know. But I'm glad that he's gone. Saves more money, like you said.
Absolutely.
And the other dominant win in Week 10 saw the Saints beat Cincinnati so badly that the Bengals fired their defensive coordinator. Clearly, both of these teams are trending in opposite directions. Where do you see them ending up in the playoff race?
I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they are, like the Baltimore Ravens, are in an extremely downward trend right now, and I don't see them coming out of that trend given their past with their coaching staff. Even though they've made the playoffs, they've never won a playoff game under their current coach, and they are struggling very heavily right now.
Yeah, especially A.J. Green's out, and I think he's still out for another 1 or 2 weeks. So, I mean, 1 or 2 more losses that basically will end their season. So I'm not 100% sure about them. I mean, the Saints, I think they're the favorite to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. But Cincinnati, I don't know. I don't trust them in the playoffs like you said. And last show I said the Ravens, I'd be more scared of them, even though both of them have a losing record. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see Cincinnati making it. And Garrett Clark, I know your team is the Bengals, so sorry about that, man.
Yeah, huge addition though. Hugh Jackson just got added to the coaching staff over there in Cincinnati. You really think he's going to add that big? He's going to be the X factor.
The X
factor Des Bryant couldn't be this year.
Get them that 2-0 against the Browns, but that's what you need.
Yeah, that's what you need. The 2 wins versus the Browns. New England Patriots suffered their worst loss in years at the hands of the Titans, dropping the Pats to the AFC's number 3 seed. Will this loss hurt their momentum as the season winds down?
I don't think it will, just given that it's such a prestigious team, and with Bill Belichick being your coach, he's going to have them ready the rest of the season. I'm not a big Patriots fan, but I respect the coaching staff, and I think that if any team can come out of a loss like they had last week, it is that team.
Yeah, I mean, their system's built to win, but, the only thing that worries me is that I think Tom Brady's finally starting to show his age. I saw some statistics earlier. Most of the passing yards, passing touchdowns, interceptions, passing yards, completion, he's all in the middle. He's going from, being top tier last couple of years to now he's in the mid, 12s to 16. So I don't know if that's just been he's had a bad season or what's going on. But if he can turn it around, obviously, then the Patriots are going to rally and they'll just keep doing what they've done for the whole time that he's been there.
Do you think that's something to say that Patricia and Vrabel both beat Bill Belichick, knowing they were part of the system with Bill Belichick in there, and the only team to really come out? I mean, the Titans and Detroit Lions, they whooped the Patriots. Like, they showed no mercy at all. And it's weird because, they were in the system with Bill Belichick, and maybe they know some secrets that apparently no other NFL coach can figure out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, because normally I've seen in years past that most coaches that go against Bill Belichick after don't do as well, but I don't know what it is. Maybe,
Maybe they're drinking some special juice up there.
They're definitely brewing something special. Yeah. So, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows about anything right now in the NFL season? It's been so wild.
Yeah, it has.
Which game in Week 10 had the most surprising result?
I think that, to me, the most surprising result was the Steelers. I think everybody knew that they were a good team and they were one of the best teams in the NFL. But to beat a team like the Panthers, the way that they beat the Panthers was just, I didn't think that they'd be able to do that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Honestly, I thought the Seahawks were going to go in and beat the Rams. I mean, for sure it was a close game like I thought it was going to be, but they were running the ball all over the place. I mean, Aaron Donald did have a pretty decent day for himself, but overall, I didn't see that happening. But, I think the Chiefs are going to finally going to be the other team to get the one up on them besides the Saints. So.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that Russell Wilson overthrew that ball at the end of that game because I really thought he was going to come in clutch. I'm a big Russell Wilson guy. He usually does come in clutch. I was surprised about that as well. So which upcoming game in Week 11 is the most intriguing? We have some few big primetime games.
I think the Sunday night game, the Bears versus the Vikings, where the Bears' defense is obviously good. It's one of the better defenses in the NFL, but they haven't really gone up against, other than the Patriots who put up 38 points against them, they haven't gone up against an offense as good as the Vikings' offense is. Kirk Cousins playing better than he ever has in his career, and that entire offense, especially getting Dalvin Cook back now, is a force in the NFL.
That's for sure. But I think that game, it's definitely going to be how's each offense going to do. But if you go to Monday night, which I think is the better of the two games, it's going to be how do each of those defenses do. Right now, I'd say the Chiefs, just because of how crazy. You can't really tell what Mahomes is going to do. You just know he's going to just get it to everyone. I think Tyreek Hill's going to run out that secondary. So, I mean, that's going to be my favorite for next week.
We could be seeing a Super Bowl preview, huh? Kansas City
could be.
And I think it's huge advantage now to LA that the game's in LA and not Mexico, because as you guys all know by now that the field conditions were too poor in Mexico and Aztec Stadium for them to play there. So now they're in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. I think that adds a huge factor. So we'll see if Mahomes is all about it. He couldn't do it in Gillette, but maybe he can do it over in LA. And the Buffalo Bills released quarterback Nate Peterman. By no surprise, and actually surprised was why did it take this long to do it. Is there any other athlete from any sport who you guys can name who has performed this poorly?
Honestly, I can't think of anyone in any other sport. I mean, definitely recently this has got to be the worst. I mean, the only other person I could think that within the NFL, Ryan Leaf, who got taken one pick right after Peyton Manning in '98. I mean, I have no idea what that was. I think he got maybe 4 wins in the couple years he was there. I don't even know. It's just that abysmal. So I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody in recent years that has even come close to playing as poorly as Peterman has. And for him to be on the roster for over a year and a half just amazes me.
Yeah.
It amazes me too. I can't think of anyone.
No,
I mean, NHL, Neil Yakupov, I remember the hype coming in. He was supposed to be the next Crosby.
I remember that too.
But he didn't show anything. But I mean, I mean, Nick Peterman didn't have any pressure on him, so I don't really understand how he can be so bad at one thing.
Yeah, and he even went in there when they had a chance of when they did go to the playoffs, and you'd think he would have done better, but
well. It was pretty funny for us to watch. Pretty entertaining, huh?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Hunter. Hey, we're coming back with the NBA. Jeff Hart and Joey Sinway.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me
Welcome back, everyone, to the Battle of the Beards. I'm here with my dog, who would do it for a Louis belt, Joey Sinway, and the beard of broadcasting, Jeff Hart, talking about the National Basketball Association. And it's happened, boys. It has happened. Jimmy Butler is taking his talents to the 267, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. And a surprising trade with the 76ers. The Timberwolves gave away a disgruntled Butler for a package including Rob Covington, Dario Saric, and a second-round pick. After this blockbuster trade, how do you think both teams will be affected going forward? And who do you think got the better end of the deal?
All right. Well, I think the trade was long overdue. Jimmy was asking for a trade before the season. I don't know why they didn't move him then. I mean, it didn't seem like the issues were going to get resolved throughout the season. He seemed like a bully in that locker room. It seemed like he had it out for Andrew Wiggins, especially for whatever reason. Saw a picture online of him spinning a basketball on the top of Andrew Wiggins' head. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not letting another grown man do that to me.
Especially a teammate.
Hey, to each their own. But Coach Tibbs seemed like he lost the locker room, so I think shipping Jimmy out might do a little bit better for their team chemistry. They got a lot of young talent in that locker room, and I just didn't think Jimmy was a fit there, even from last season. Minnesota adds 2 solid role players to their bench, and the Sixers get their veteran they need in that locker room, I think. They got a lot of young talent, but I feel like Jimmy Butler is a good leader for them. And they're already in talks of extending his contract, giving him a supermax that he wanted, and that's why he wanted out of Minnesota anyways. He felt like they couldn't pay him. I definitely think the Sixers got the better end of the deal. I think that puts them as the 3rd best team in the East still, though. But the Sixers have a deep roster now, Jimmy Butler there, and I think it puts them above Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's just playing a little bit over their potential right now. I think they'll cool down as the season goes on. I think the Celtics will heat up. But this does give Philly that legitimate chance to be the team that comes out of the East this year, I think at least.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the trade, I really don't think I think both teams really benefited from it. I think what the Timberwolves are going to do is kind of what the Orlando Magic did with Dwight Howard. They're going to have their big man in Karl Anthony Towns and just surround him with a bunch of solid role players. I think Covington, Saric. I don't think Wiggins is a superstar like people make him out. I haven't really seen him develop his game since the draft. He's very athletic, but he hasn't really developed that jump shot to the point where I would feel comfortable with him. Obviously, Philly. I think they needed that one last step because some of the players, Embiid and all of them, were a little disgruntled because they liked Saric and Covington. However, they weren't playing to their potential that they were last season. And even if you got to where you were last year, it wasn't enough to even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So why would you? It's kind of why would you expect any different result if you have the same roster? And the Raptors only got better this year. Milwaukee's looking hot. I agree they're overplaying. I think they're doing what a lot of teams don't do. They're playing out of their they're playing out of their realm to start the season. That way, the later part of the season they can kind of take it easy. They already have a solid record. Yeah, exactly. As far as no one really got the better end of the deal, I think, because I think both teams will benefit a lot. Jimmy's going to bring that sense of leadership like you talked about. Also a sense of defense because I think that's very underrated about his game. Jimmy Butler started out as a defensive 3-and-D kind of guy, developed his offensive game to the point where he is a superstar in this league. I think Philadelphia got the better end simply because they're more of a contender because of a lackluster Eastern Conference. I think they're second, actually, after the Raptors. But I think Boston's having a lot of chemistry issues right now because Kyrie and Hayward are back. It's not necessarily that they're bad. It's more or less when you had a team that bonded over the playoffs last year and found their roles, it's kind of hard to reestablish that dynamic that was set in the past.
I agree. I think Boston as well will hit their stride and probably come out In his 15th year in the league, Carmelo No Ring Can't Sing Anthony is still very alive in the NBA. After the Rockets' poor start to the season, many players on the team have become dissatisfied with Anthony's level of play. After a 111 shooting performance against the Thunder, players are saying Melo will be leaving the Rockets very soon. Do you think it's fair that the Rockets are letting him go, and who do you think will want him?
I just want to take a moment. Carmelo, it's time to go. I've been a Knicks fan for years. Anyone who knows me, I love the Knicks. Melo, I appreciated the years that he gave us. I really do. However, when you think about Melo's game, he's predicated on ISO. He was never a good defensive player to begin with. That was the one knock against Carmelo coming into the NBA. He can't play defense, and when the league, he can't help it. The league changed from under him. The league is about team play. It's more about 3-and-D kind of guys, and Melo hasn't taken care of his body on top of that. I mean, when you think of LeBron, he's the peak example of defying, father time. I mean, seriously, he's taking care of his body. But I think what we're seeing in Melo right now is an example of his knees are going. His jump shot's gone. I think it's an example of he can't get that jump shot right anymore because his knees are just gone. I mean, he doesn't have the hops anymore. I think it's time for him to he doesn't really fit any team because when your whole game is predicated on your one of the best offensive talents, I think, of our generation.
Oh, for sure.
But if that offense isn't working for you anymore, what do you have to offer for a team, especially since you've never been a great leader in the locker room or someone who's been respected amongst your peers? And I don't really see that with Melo. So unless the team's willing to, vouch for him, I don't see it happening.
No, I completely agree. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year and lost Trevor Ariza. I feel like they signed Melo to fill that void. They were going to think that he was going to play up to the level that Ariza plays. But Ariza's a lot younger than the guy, too. But he takes a lot of bad shots early. He's just screwing that team chemistry all up. As far as where he might go, I think that he should just call up Ice Cube and hit the Big Three league because his career is done, man. Like you said, he never moved around great to begin with. Now his knees are going. I think he needs to hang them up.
Well, I mean, he's having his worst career as far as actual field goal percentage goes. He's only shooting 40% from the field right now. Oh, I mean, you're not going to get that done in the league anymore, especially being praised as an offensive star. I mean, that's not going to get it done.
He's going to be chilling the banana boat by himself until his other boys retire. And Jimmy Butler isn't the only 76er player to make the headlines this week. Joel Embiid has been on fire to start the season. He has racked up 14 double-doubles in 15 games this season, with Embiid claiming that he could be an MVP this season. Do you think he can back up his claims with his level of play? And how long do you think he will continue to play at this level?
Well, Embiid's a walking double-double. Every night he's going to go out there. He's going to put up 15 points and upwards of 15 rebounds, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. But I feel like he has potential to one day maybe get in those shoes to be an MVP, but I don't think he's there yet. I mean, I have some stats here. 2 weeks ago, he had a 16-point game. They lost by 25 points to Brooklyn. And then last week, he had a 14-point game. They lose to Memphis. And that's just not MVP numbers to me, especially if you're a big man. You're going to have to be putting up 30 points per game if you're a big man, on top of 15 boards. Like, you look at Shaq back whenever he was winning MVPs. Like, that's the type of season you need to have to be a center that wins an MVP. And I'm not saying that Embiid won't reach that one day, because I think he might. But I feel like because of this minutes restriction he's been on for the past couple years, maybe his game hasn't developed to the point where it should be 2 years, 3 years into his career.
I think Embiid's going to have his best season of his career this year. He leads the 76ers in 3 categories: points, rebounds, and blocks. I mean, I would hope the rebounds and blocks he would lead, obviously, but 28 points a game, that's still pretty impressive. But with the addition of Jimmy Butler, there's a lot of factors you have to take into account. It's going to stretch out the floor because now you have Butler, who's an offensive threat, along with Simmons, and if Markelle Fultz could ever fix his jump shot, that's going to really stretch the floor. Yeah, it's really going to stretch out the floor. On top of that, we already addressed it with the Timberwolves. He expects nothing but your best every game, and he's going to call you out for it.
He gets on his guys for sure.
Yeah, I think Embiid's biggest enemy is himself, because Embiid, you see it, at least to me, year after year. I don't think he puts his best on the court when he only does it when he wants to. I only see that drive when he's going up against Andre Drummond or Hassan Whiteside, the guys he has a beef with, or he has a reason to play. I haven't seen it because to me, in the playoffs last year, when he really needed to step it up and carry his team, I didn't see it. And that's what an MVP does. He carries his team and takes them to the next level. I mean, we can't always guarantee a championship because it's very hard in the NBA because it's one of the few leagues where the best team normally wins every year because of, the 7-game series. It's typically the best team that wins, and if you're not on the best team, you're not going to win. But I think he's going to have his best year because Butler's going to force him to play up, and it's going to stretch out the floor for him.
I agree. Butler will definitely keep his attitude in check a little bit more too. I feel like Jimmy won't put up with that kind of stuff. But then again, it is kind of like Embiid's team in a sense. I feel like he's definitely their leader in the locker room.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will see. The city of Philadelphia has something to look forward to with the NBA, unfortunately not with the Philadelphia Eagles. LeBron and his Lakers have had the hot hand as of late. After a slow start to the season, the team seems to have started to play well together as they have won their last 3 games. With their record currently at 7-6 and 10th in the Western Conference, do you think the Lakers can now start to make a serious run towards a strong playoff record?
Yeah, definitely. When you look historically at all of LeBron's years, I mean, the consecutive finals runs, he usually starts out slow. It's like the Spurs. They always start out slow to the year because it's to conserve their players. Not only that, you had to take into account they had a roster full of young players who haven't been used to a lot of minutes, new people they signed with the veterans, you know, Rondo, those guys. They just added Tyson Chandler. And speaking of, I think Tyson Chandler was a great move for that team because it really adds size in the paint. Great defensive player to add with him and JaVale McGee because I think that's something that team needs right now is just that strong rebounding and defense kind of guy. But I don't think we have to worry about it going forward. I think LeBron's just going to start carrying his team eventually. I think they're trying to save him in this early part of the season because you have to take into account his age and you want to develop those young guys. I think Kuzma is better than Ingram. I'm a Kuzma guy over Ingram. I think his ceiling is higher and I like his shooting far better. I really think the future's bright. I don't see him going further than the semifinals, but I think they could definitely make a deep playoff push.
No, I agree. And with a LeBron-led team, like you said, the spotlight's always on. So like everybody knew if they stumbled out the gate a little bit that everybody was just going to hop on board and hop on the LeBron out-of-town train already, and he's only played less than 15 games, even still. So, I mean, like I just said, it's the first 10, 15 games of the season. These guys haven't been on the same court together. So, I mean, they definitely needed to work out the kinks a little bit. They added a piece of Tyson Chandler. Great on the boards, great defensively, and it shows. He's won them a couple games even so far since he's been in town. I think he's played a factor in the 3 games they've won in a row at least. So, I mean, they got a lot of veterans coming off that bench too. That's key in going deep in the playoffs. If you look at some of the older the Warriors from the past couple years, they've had vets on their bench coming off, getting it done when they needed to. So, I definitely agree. I don't think they'll get past the semifinals. Not this year yet, but I feel like they could add a star in the summer.
Well, and I think one factor that a lot of people don't take into account about LeBron, he's now under a lot more pressure than he used to be, not because of the level to produce, because no one's questioning LeBron's legacy or his playing ability. I mean, his accolades speak for themselves. He is a winner. He's one of the greatest ever. I'm not going to take that away from him. However, he's never played for a huge market team, and you're playing for the most storied franchise in the NBA, the Lakers. You have to deal with, the legacies of Magic, Kobe, Shaq. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah. So when you have a star like him, the pressure's on. LeBron even admitted he cracked under pressure to start the season. He told the press that. So I think people aren't taking that into account. That now I think he's got his feet under him and knows what to expect from that hometown. Yeah. Plus, as well, with the addition to LeBron James, that pressure is just even on the young guys, even so much more too. Because I mean, fans they're usually not a Cleveland Cavaliers fans. You're a LeBron James fan, so exactly. All those fans hop on LA, and you just have all the pressure on you, all the eyes on you. And obviously, that's pretty tough to adjust when you're such a young player. All right, thank you, boys. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Jeff. It's always hairy when you guys are on screen. We're going to come back with a special little NCAA segment, but this is last. I can't host that, so you lucked out.
Welcome back here to The Big Hit. Jake Slabonic and Stephen Langdon. And with the college football season winding down ever so quickly, Stephen and I would like to take this opportunity to analyze and predict some outcomes for the end of the season, including bowl assignments, college football playoff rankings, Heisman candidates, and much more. We will each have a few minutes to discuss our thoughts and explain our reasoning. Stephen, let's start with you. What are your predictions?
Yeah, so my predictions go as this. So far, the top 10 have remained the same going into another week. But as far as the final rankings go, I'm going to say number 1 at the end of the season will be Clemson. Clemson have had a fantastic year all season long. They played Duke, South Carolina, Virginia, or Pitt to end the season. Virginia or Pitt being in the ACC championship game. And then for number 2, I'm going to go with Georgia. I'm going to predict that Georgia will beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, moving them above Alabama in the final rankings. Number 3, I placed Alabama just because their only loss at that point, a fantastic team. They beat LSU by a significant amount, but overall, I think that they will lose to Georgia, as I said, because of them to still remain in the rankings, but just go down a couple spots. And number 4, I'm going to go with West Virginia as going to be my final spot. West Virginia plays Oklahoma State, who upset Texas a couple weeks ago, and they looked like a fantastic team against a high-powered Texas. And they also have Oklahoma, which I expect them to beat. And I think that will propel them to getting in that college football playoff. And then my last 2 out, I'm going to have Ohio State. I think Ohio State is going to beat Michigan as well as go into the Big Ten championship and win. But I think that loss to Purdue was huge, and I think that that's going to really push them just outside. And then number 6, I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I expect Notre Dame to lose against Syracuse this week. Syracuse ranked number 12, and they are just a fantastic team. I think that Syracuse goes into Notre Dame and just comes out with a victory.
All right, who's your Heisman watch?
My Heisman pick, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has been a stud all season long. Actually was drafted 9th overall in the MLB draft by the Athletics. So he kind of reminds me of a Deion Sanders or
Michael Jordan when he had his
Michael Jordan. There's so many just great athletes, but I think he's going to be the next 2-star athlete in my opinion. But overall, over 3,000 yards this season, has had 32 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions with a completion rate of over 70%. And in the last 3 games, has had 1,061 yards and 7 touchdowns, as well as 212 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I believe that those final games, and especially since they have to play a West Virginia team, I think that game is going to define who wins the Heisman.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. I took kind of a different route to the prediction. I just had 6 solid predictions for my end of the year. First of all, Notre Dame is going to get knocked out of the college football playoff. They're an independent league. They haven't really faced much competition, but the competition they did face almost beat them. Let's remember who they almost lost to. They lost to my Pitt Panthers, Navy, Ball State, and Vanderbilt. You're telling me they almost lost to those teams? Try putting them up against some tough competition. Notre Dame's going to get knocked out easily. Second, going back to Pitt, they're going to beat Clemson in the ACC Championship. I have them going into the ACC Championship versing the Tigers. However, Pitt has a little bit of an upper hand because they have the Tree of Life synagogue shooting in the back of their minds. They want to play for them. They are on a 3-game winning streak. Running back Quadri Olison has over 1,000 yards rushing this season and over 10 touchdowns on the year. Just an overall stellar year. I think he's overlooked a lot. And then Kenny Pickett, Maurice French are the AB and Big Ben in the ACC. They are just a solid quarterback wide receiver duo that cease to not impress, or you know what I mean? They haven't not impressed yet. Third, West Virginia's Will Grier overshadows Tua for the Heisman. Tua's given credit just because of Nick Saban and how Alabama's reputation is. He has less than 2,600 yards and only 25 touchdowns. Now, let's flip that. Oh, actually, hold on one second. Grier has less than 100 incompletions this season. And if you flip it from Tua's stats, he has over 3,000 passing yards and over 30 touchdowns. That speaks levels. It shows that Will Grier puts in more work. And the only reason why he won it is that West Virginia doesn't make the college football playoff. If they do, Will Grier can guarantee the Heisman Trophy. Fourth, Purdue becomes bowl-worthy. Despite starting off the season slow, they are on a hot streak after defeating 3 Big Ten contenders, including Penn State, Iowa, and Ohio State. Sorry, Steven. But the final part of the schedule has Wisconsin and Indiana. Indiana at 5-5, Wisconsin 6-4. Proved to be tough contenders. I think Purdue can boil something up there. See what I did there? They defeated 4 ranked teams, the 3 I just mentioned, plus Boston College, and they currently sit at a 5-5 record, just 1 win away from bowl eligibility. Fifth off, Michigan is knocked out of the top 4. Indiana is at 5-5 and only has a bowl game to offer, but they will go all in for it. So they have a tough contender in Indiana. Michigan has beaten opponents by 30 the past 2 and haven't lost since week 1. If Indiana can't do it, then Ohio State can. Let's look at the history. Michigan leads the all-time rivalry 58-49-6. But Ohio State, since 2000, has led the series 15-3. Both losses coming in, or 2 of the 3 losses coming in Michigan. And they're playing at Columbus this time, so Ohio State has more of the upper hand. So faith for you guys after all. Finally, I hate to say this, Alabama wins the BCS championship via field goal as time expires. It's going to prove my reasoning for Tua not winning the Heisman since he can't get the job done in the game. They'll leave it up to the kicker's foot. But sadly, kickers don't win Heismans. Alabama had no competition all season. I don't know what you said before. They play the Citadel.
Yeah,
and
they play the Citadel, and then they play Auburn again, and then they play Georgia. I really think that Georgia's going to be
that Georgia game is going to be the toughest one yet.
No doubt.
They play no one all season. It's pretty much just a warm-up for bowl season. That's my predictions for NCAA football. Whether they come true or not, I don't think they will because I'm normally wrong about a lot of things, but hopefully they go right this year. But absolutely, from all of us here at The Big Hit, Stephen Langdon Jr. and Jake Slavonic with the NCAA football segment, thank you to everyone here today. Thank you to IUP-TV. And as we head into Thanksgiving break, we want to wish you all a happy and safe Thanksgiving break. We will see you when we return.